Hello folks, this is Eva at Jolly Harbor Soap Market. I am getting ready to make a 12-pound batch of my pure peppermint soaps. Only one essential oil, the pure peppermint, and this one I happen to be using Bulk Apothecary, also Nature's Oil, pure peppermint oil. This one is not organic, but as it is 100% pure therapeutic grade. As I'm replacing oils, and I can afford to, I am replacing them with organic, but this one is not. But Bulk Apothecary has excellent oils, so I feel good about them. So here's my essential oils already weighed out. I have 7 ounces. And then for my colors, my base color, my oils, I've already added kale and clay and peppermint leaf to it. I like to let my dried peppermint leaf, which I dry my own peppermint leaf. I grow peppermint in my yard, and I harvest it every summer and dry quite a bit and then grind it into powder. But I like to add it to my oils to let it absorb some of the oils for a few minutes before I combine my lye, because I found if I add the peppermint leaf straight to the batter, there's more likelihood in my batches, I've noticed, for discoloration from the leaf in the soap as it cures. So if I put it in the oils, let it absorb the oils a bit, then it just stays looking like dried peppermint powder in there, and it doesn't discolor and get a bit of a oxidated look to it. So I already have added that, and I will combine or separate it into 2 other smaller portions. One I will be coloring with rose, kale, and clay. This one happens to be my Crafter's Choice. And then I have green chromated, or green chrome oxide actually, by Brambleberry for my green portion. A little goes a long way of this stuff. If you've ever used oxides, they're great, very strong colors. So I will get started. Now to my lye solution, I only use a little more water than the amount of lye to dissolve it, and then I add a portion of liquid later. In this recipe, it happens to be aloe vera juice that I use. I've warmed it up just a little bit so it won't be so cold in the batch later. But my oils are at 97 degrees, and my lye solution is at 102. So very close together, temp. And also to my lye solution, I did add sodium lactate. I add at a ratio of 1 teaspoon sodium lactate to 2 pounds of oils. And the reason I do it that way is because I do use a water discount. And I found if I do the water discount and 1 teaspoon sodium lactate per pound of oil, it turns out way too brittle for my taste. I get little chips when I cut my bars. So when I'm doing a 25% water discount, I find that 1 teaspoon sodium lactate for 2 pounds of oils works pretty well. I do cut usually by 12 hours. I don't wait 24 hours. You don't need to, so I do like that. Okay. Gonna grab my aloe juice. I'll be right back. I don't want to stick blend it too much more, so I'm just trying to, just enough to get the aloe in. And then I'm going to just use my whisk and save my stick blending for combining the colors. I like to do just enough for it to be emulsified. peppermint oil. Goodness. Don't want to forget that. That would be a shame. Smells so awesome. I love the smell of peppermint. And believe it or not, the peppermint leaf actually helps a little bit with the scent. It adds, the dried peppermint leaf has a sweeter peppermint. I guess because it's the whole herb smell there. Separate some of this out and then I'll bring it back. Feel it warming up just from adding the aloe juice. It always wants to warm up, and with some scents it will actually cause it to accelerate trace a little more. Peppermint's pretty good though, as far as that goes. That'd be good. I can always add more batter if I choose, but I don't want to do too much to start with. Try to do this so you can see. All right. I have a little bit of the clay already wetted in here, so I'm just going to combine it with some batter first and then put it back in. Oops, broke my stick. Watch for that one. It's sticking it up. I gotta hurry it up here. I will not be stick blending that one. It will not be stick blending. grab my mold and I'll show you the pour in just a moment. Alright folks, all this is thickening up, so I'm going to get with it. Making a mess. Alright. When one color is a lot thicker, it sure doesn't seem to go as far, does it? Sorry, I know my thing's in the way here, but my picture. Actually, clean out my big one first. So I'll go ahead and finish getting these cleaned out, and I'll bring you back. Alright, so here it is. Trying to make it where it matches up and isn't all weird. Okay, so I'm going to play with a little bit here. I knew what I was looking for a minute ago. Okay, just use this. I will end up texturing the top, which is just about there where I can do it, but I can't resist to play with it a little bit. I could leave it like this, but I don't really want to. Even if I plan on doing another texture, I think mixing the color a little bit helps the texture look a little more even. I did put tape along the edges of my paper because I knew it was a bit short. At some point, since I'm using bigger molds, I will have to invest in wider freezer paper or start using plastic or something different, but for now this is just how I'm rolling with it. This batch turned out a little fuller than I expected. Not a lot. I'm not doing anything fancy, just a little shape. Sometimes I will skip around to another spot because you may have noticed, tell me if you have, as I work with the batter, sometimes if I continuously work in the same area, it will actually start becoming more fluid and won't hold the peaks the same. So I've just found jumping around a little bit can benefit just a tad. I'm enjoying making the larger batches though. It's so much more efficient. I mean, it takes time to age soap, it takes time to make it, but if you make a larger batch, if your circumstances allow you to, I mean, it's worth it. For not much more time and effort, you have that much more soap on your rack curing, and you don't have to repeat it again as often. So it is worth it to consider. But it took a while to get to this point. I started out always making the 8 bars, and then as time went on I started doubling that, and now this batch makes, let's see, what does it make? It makes 44 to 48 depending on how thick I cut them, if I have any scrap edges or not. Alright, well, I'll be cutting this in the morning. It is 8:30 now in the evening. So I will cut it in the morning, and I will bring you back and I'll show you how I cut it. Alright, it'll make 4 tall skinny bars. 4 tall skinny loaves. So, and I'll show you how I do it. Alright, see you in the morning. Bye. Hello everybody. It has been about 13 and a half hours since I poured this mold. About 13 hours actually. And so it's a 12-pound batch of pure peppermint. So I thought I'd just show you how I did things, that it is definitely ready to cut. It's firm. It is still a little warm. Just barely. Like when I held the mold on the bottom, it was just warm to the touch. But this recipe is perfectly cuttable now. So I thought I'd just show you the process. Sometimes I will just go ahead and unwrap it and then let it sit a few minutes. Alright, so there you have it. That's what the top looks like. All right, I'll get my cutter set up and I'll bring you back. All right. All right. So this cutter is one of the Brambleberry cutters, the wire cutter that has the lines to adjust the height. And I modified it because it comes with this handle, which you normally would set in the slots and then it would lay on here. But as you can see, it limits the height of the loaf you can cut. So I added a guitar tuner peg to it and put an eye hook here, and so I have the wire running through the pre-made slots and I can cut any height of loaf now. So it was a fairly simple modification. If you already have one of these, you can do that and then you can cut wider loaves, no problem. And what I did to get the height I want, because I'm going to be cutting 4 tall skinny 2.5 inch wide loaves, I just picked the slot closest to it. I cut a piece of cardboard that was an 1/8 inch thick so I could get the right thickness. So I'm not using the little slider board that comes with it because that's closer to a 1/4 inch thick and I only needed an 1/8 inch. And it's not realistic to move this wire from this side to that side. You just got to make the height work for you. So pretty simple. I just keep 2 of these little pieces of paper. The cardboard I figured would slide, but it doesn't. So I just have 2 pieces of pre-cut parchment paper that I put it on. It turned out cool. This, if you remember from watching, it had started to thicken up, and so it has some bigger blotches in there, but I still like how it turned out. The second one. Not very good at finding you in the camera, am I? I don't typically trim the sides of my molds on this one, or sides of my loaves on this one. I just clean them up if I need to, per bar, because I don't want to waste any more soap than I need to. Alright, I'll grab my cutter and I'll show you the next step. Alright, so I have my first loaf on here. Getting my glove stuck under there. Okay. And this is an aluminum sheet pan that I got from Sam's Club, but you don't want to leave your soap in direct contact, especially if it's not fully cured yet, because you will get marks on it. It will react with it. So I just got this inexpensive shelf liner at Walmart or somewhere like that, and I just cut some pieces to have on them. just set them on here. And I'll worry about separating them afterwards. Oops, I need to do it this way. If I have a drier loaf, I don't always need to wipe those wires off, but I prefer to. It just keeps a cleaner cut for me anyway. Still just a tiny bit warm. Just a tiny bit. So, show you a couple of them. It turned out the big chunky colors this time, and you can just see the little bitty peppermint leaf specks in there. It's not enough to feel exfoliating really. It just helps a little perhaps with the scent and mostly for the look. And there is a tiny bit of mild exfoliation, but you don't really like notice it per se. Pull another one out the middle. That one doesn't have as much. But I like using the larger loaves. The pour can have a greater variety. I generally prefer my batter to be a little more fluid when I pour it because it does give a little more flow and featheriness to the design. And I probably should have hanger swirled this one, but that's okay. It's still fine. I always let my customers know that there is going to be some variety from batch to batch. But in general, it'll have the same color theme, and I do go for the similar look. That one has the wider space in between. Do this for now to make some room. The last one. I have to just take a couple off the end to start with, or I can't get them all to fit. But those, the red clay, I like the color it brings out, and the green oxide. They're both very versatile. That one doesn't have very much in it. That one has a little more. I kind of like how the design turned out in this. That one has a lot. I will say, if you have too much of the colorants, people will notice it on there. Okay, that one's cool. People will notice it on their washcloths, but it shouldn't stain their pigments. It's not like using the natural dyes. So that's just kind of fun to show you some different ones out of it. That's another one that has quite a bit more. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. And feel free to follow and like and share. I'd love to hear from you. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.